rain again today. Dark clouds gather and fill the sky. Don't know how to talk to you, just know how to say goodbye. You actually gotta try this light out. Go back where you came from. Learn to speak English. Go back where you came from.
Hey, Shalom, brothers. This is the brother Nashar from the Great Millstone Dallas camp, coming at you, brothers, man, with another quick hit. But first and foremost, I want to give all praises to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai. Double honors to the elders and apostles that are ruling well, and salutations to the elect across the four corners of the earth. But I'm going to bring it out with Colossians chapter 3. And I'll start at the fifth verse. It says, mortify therefore your members which are upon the earth: fornication, uncleanness, inordinate affection, evil concupiscences, and covetousness, which is idolatry. But I that's what this scripture right here, this passage, has been on my spirit a lot, because the way to mortify each other in the brotherhood is not only to, of course, edify through the scriptures, but you also have to be a living example. Just like Yahweh Shai, when he came on the scene, when he started preaching the gospel and you know, living the gospel, he didn't only preach it, he lived it. He was a living example. You know, he was going around the different places that he went to, preaching the truth, trying to wake up the elect. But he was also a living example. He didn't just preach it and then go back to whatever the hell he was doing afterwards. No, he preached it, and he also lived, and he was a living image of how you're supposed to be. He wasn't just some words on a piece of paper. He was an actual living image of how you're supposed to be, and that's how you mortify each other. How I think of it is like Matthew chapter 6, verse 22. You know, the eye is the light of the body, and whatever you see is what you portray. Remember that. That's how the mind works. When you were growing up, you know, you only did what you saw. You know, if your parents were people that had bad manners and they cursed, and or not cursed, but you know had bad language, corrupt language, so to speak, or you know, everything that what you were around, you know, your brothers and sisters, uncles, aunts, you know, whatever you grew up around, granny, grandpa, whatever, that's what you did, is what you saw, right? Regardless of what our moms and dads tried to teach us what not to do and all these different things, but yet they would go back to whatever they were doing wrong, and that's what we saw. So we continue doing what we saw as opposed to what we heard, if that makes any sense. So in this brotherhood, the way to mortify each other is not only by edifying each other through the scriptures, but we also individually have to be a living example, a living image. Just like how our big brother did, Yahweh Shai. Verse 6, it says, for which things sake the wrath of the Most High cometh on the children of disobedience, in which ye also walked sometime when ye lived in them. Yeah, because when we were in the world, the Lord gave us those experiences because he knew he was going to end up choosing us to preach his word. Speaking of the elect and the prophets on the corners. When, you know, he did that so now that we could have that experience, that understanding. So now that when he gave us the true knowledge and wisdom of the scriptures, now we can give light to it. Now we can give understanding. But not only that, we have to continue being, now that we know what's right, we now have to be a living example as well. Not just knowing the scriptures, if that makes any sense. Verse 7, it says, in thee which ye also walked sometime when ye lived in them, But now ye also put off these things, just naming the things that, pretty much listing the things that we used to do, like anger, wrath, malice, blasphemy, filthy communication out of our mouths. That's how we were when we were in the world. Now that we know the truth, there's an image with it, man. And I'm not saying like your wardrobe or a certain haircut or your smile. I ain't talking about that. I'm talking about now that we know the true knowledge, now that we have the true knowledge of these scriptures, now that we know how we're supposed to be, having that mind of Yahweh Shai, we have to live what we know. Praying every day, not eating bullshit anymore, living right, taking care of our bodies, all those things, man. That's being a living example of what we know. This truth is more than just knowing what you know. You have to do what you know as well, if that makes sense. Okay? So with that, brothers, hopefully you brothers are edified. I just wanted to bring that out. But first, I want to get that word mortify, just to give a little bit more deeper edification on it. Let's see. That word there is necro, and I'll let him say it.
Strong's G 3499, necrao.
And excuse me, obviously I'm corrected. It's necrao. I thought it was necro, but it means to make dead, to put to death, to slay, to warn out. Now that's what you do in this truth by being, not only by knowing and giving edification of the scriptures, but also being a living example. Like, for example, just for an example, like say I use me. Say there's younger brothers that could come up under the older brothers, like me and everybody else. Now we have to be a living example, because you got to think, just giving the true knowledge and wisdom of the scriptures, that gives edification, that gives light to a person, right? But now when you're hanging around this person, you also have to be and work and do. You have to be a living example of what you're preaching, because now that you're giving edification on the scriptures, now a person can see as well what they should be doing physically, walking in the true knowledge of the scriptures, being a living example to the people that don't know. It makes dead all the shit we used to do. Like, say for instance, if I had a certain way I used to talk, and then I get around a brother that's a little bit more intelligent, he can use his words better. He can give more. How can I put it? He can give more examples or more edification to the scriptures. It helps me. That brother may rub off on me how he is. You see what I'm saying? So it's important to be a living example, because a person can see what you do as well, not only just hearing your videos and how well you're knowledgeable in the scriptures. Now he can actually see how he should be physically, if that makes any sense. But with that, I want to give all praise to Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai. Double honors to the elders and apostles that are ruling very well, and salutations, man, to the elect. Shalom.